Hey, planet Earth, how's it going? Is the sound and video okay, Earth? Ah, okay. Hello, everybody. Hello. Let me say something. Hello. How's the sound? Oh, hi, Nico. Hi, Paul. Hi, guys. You're getting anything in your message box? Oh my goodness, yeah. I will check it. Hi, Chi-Town, California, huh? Chicago. Junior, hello. How you guys doing? Oh, um, is the sound in the video okay? Checking it all out. Hi, Monkey C from Chicago. For a spell, I lived in suburban Chicago, Southwest 111th and Harlem, many years ago. Oh, good. Thanks, Nico. Abdul, how are you? Good, good. Nothing like paying grand complications, minute repeater prices for a steel watch with a Calatrava movement in it. Very interesting. Andrew, how are you? Ah, okay. Hi, Bill. Oh, good. Thank you. Just needed to make sure everything was okay. Well, what I want to talk about today, this topic, by the way, was provided by the rancher. Much appreciated. Um, good. Paul. Oh, thanks a lot. Feels like the watch roll is out of reach of little guy. Well, I tell you, I got a message, a comment from one of the little guys, and he would said how much he could afford on a watch. It wasn't very much, but it, you can enjoy an inexpensive watch as much as you can an expensive watch. There's I think anyway, I really believe that. I have a lot of fun with my little $97 Seiko 5, my $200 perpetual, what is it, regulator. Those things, you can have a lot of fun with those. I think if you can't have a lot of fun with, and these are mechanical watches, I have no idea what you do with a quartz except be on time. So anyway, um, hi Javier, how you doing? I'm well. Um, Mr. Tuna, how are you? Watch Nichols, hello. Hater, how are you? Good to see everybody. Anyway, what um, what Clyde suggested is that we talk about and really ask the question: are all of the high horology watches that used to be able to pick up for under 10,000, if not under 5,000. In fact, that's what under 5,000, maybe on the pre-owned market, but there have these all dried up. I mean, they're inexpensive watches, but anyway, uh, even Amiga, yeah, Omegas, yeah, yeah, you're right, Monkey Seed Productions. Well, anyway, so but I do like really well made uh, watches. Okay, I think we all do to some extent. especially ones that have something about them in them that is special. I like this because it has a double hairspring, and I was able to afford it a number of years ago, and I got it for probably a third of MSRP, brand new. And now, trying to think what I the last one I saw was one that was sold in 2019 on a what was it? Phillips auction, and it was something like 75,000 Hong Kong dollars, which is about between $9,000 and $10,000, and that was in 2019. And things have sort of gone nuts since then. Um, yeah, Nautilus. A lot of these other watches, Nautiluses, Rolexes, and so forth, are they're they're sort of out of reach, but nothing like a you talk about FP Journes and some of these really true high horology watches, if you want to use that term. I think there's sort of exceptional horology. They're sort of going nuts, and a lot of stuff that they're doing, I think, is taking some other ones that aren't quite as grand and trying to pawn them off as that. Um, I do think that there are a couple of brands that are still undervalued. Chopard LUC is one. I agree, Abdul. Yeah, I had a video on that not long ago on the Chopard LUC, and they're still a good buy. I There are some of these around. These are the Parmigiani, and there's one place that has some. They've got one that's, I think it's about a 15,000 um, watch for about 5,000, brand new, and that's at the watch outlet. But I know those guys. Everybody's got to go dry pretty quick on these. We'll see though. Maybe one of the things is that the irony is that let's hope in sort of a very selfish way that a lot of people just pay attention to the brand name and really don't try to look too deeply into the AHCI independence or anybody like that, because I think those are where the best watches are, and ones that that are really cool. Now, here's another point, and that is that not everybody likes the same thing. I do not like chronographs. Got nothing against them. I just don't want one. And I have one. Well, two actually, but and it's sort of like, what am I going to do with it? And when I wear it, it's sort of got all these dials and things. And and I asked that, and somebody said, "Well, use it as an egg timer." You don't need it for an egg timer. I got so many different tires. My egg timer takes care of that. Anyway, hey Tony, how you doing, man? Um, yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, all of these things are really high. Something now you got to remember that a lot of them were really high before this. They're still really nutsy high. Um, hey Mark, how you doing? Tim. Okay. Hi Eamon. Thomas. Okay. Hey, Kaz, how are you? I tell you, what about Chopek watches as in terms of a good buy still? Uh, I I think the LUC, you can get good buys on them. Uh, H. Moser, forget about it. Not only have they dried up pretty much, but they're very hard to find now. And then the new ones, they're waiting list for. There's a waiting list, I think, on the green streamliner, and I think they made some right moves. And what I still think you can get some good deals on Parmigiani, and here's why. they had a big announcement that they're getting rid of all of their old ones, and they're coming out with a new line. The new line they're coming out with is very conservative, and I think their biggest mistake would be throwing out the baby with the bathwater, but they may do so. Sort of a toric uh, hemisphere retrograde. That would be a nice watch if you can if they start giving out good deals on that. That was the one that won the Grand Prix award. This is the regular hemispheres, and like I said, I got this several years ago, and it was brand new, and it's been a great watch. But you can't do it anymore, and that's why that's sort of what I was sort of trying to find out about. Your wife hates the faces on the face of the chronograph. It's just too busy for me. I think the person who really understood that was Jean Marc Wiederreck when he made the Augengraph and took away all of that stuff and just had a chronograph that as clear as a bell, and then had the magic elsewhere using the existing hands. Hey, Forbin, Sir Edmund Hillary knew high horology. Now, what are you getting at here? Altitude of it? Okay. Um, I think Chopek are beat by still, but they get picked up quick. Yeah, I got a feeling of that. The I think it's one of the watches though that gets overlooked a lot. That's a good watch. Um, Yeah, still you can find if you look, you can find some really good deals. And like I said, I tell you, I was looking at Del Rey watches, and I think they have some. This is a funny thing. Um, Black dial watches are ones that were hard for me to read, and so I was never crazy about them. And like I got like 5 or 6 black dial watches. They're very good looking watches. But one of the things that I noticed, a lot of the ones that are on sale um, right now, there's a lot of black dial watches, more elegant looking and so forth. But for telling time, um, something, you know, white dial with black numbers, or I tell you what really works with a black dial are white numbers around it, or white indexes. But boys, sometimes they get really creative and hard to see something like that. Hi, Jens, how you doing? Memo Vox, how are you? Ferdinand Bertha haven't gone up compared to say Jorn. Uh, it's a cult surrounding a brand and fear of being excluded from the cult that drives the prices. Oh boy, Any- anybody in a cult brigade? Hey, Orange Hand, I think I may have spent too much on a watch at auction. It's 100 times over retail, a good deal. No, I tell you, you don't get carried away at auctions. What you need to do at an auction before you even bid for one thing is to, go to Chrono 24, eBay, or someplace and find out what they're selling for. Because I've seen guys get something, whatever you end up bidding for, you got to multiply that by 1.25 to find out what you're really paying because there's a 25% nut on top of the what they call the hammer price. Uh, yeah, Tim, I I like just about everything about Moser. I've got 2 of them, and the one I would like to get is the new one, the one that Art got. It's a purple dual time, nice looking watch with sort of a good flat out looking watch, and it's got that heritage style that I like. So that's something. Uh, I can't read silver dials. Yeah, they're hard to read too. I agree. This one. maybe one of those, um, that I know what you're talking about, but this one is actually pretty good. But, why they do that, you need good contrast to read it at a glance. I own a Brigade Tradition, 7037 and, Marine 5817. Yeah, the tradition I like the tradition, I really do. Decent prices, secondhand for a classy diver. The biggest thing to do, to your home do your homework and trust your gut. Yeah, I agree with both of those things. If something's not right, it's not right, but, man, I tell you, if you do your homework, you're way ahead of the game. And, one way, whether you look at it as sort of like, well, like sort of a diligence, as opposed to having fun. I there's to me, it's a lot of fun. You find something, then you find something hinky about it, and so you go look a little deeper, and you find out this, and you find out that, and you know, I don't know. I just it's there's so much really interesting stuff in there, like the knowing about the Sandoz family, for example, back during the wars of religion, and they were going back and forth between Spain and Switzerland, and the Huguenots, and this and that going on. Well, it turned out that Jacques Rose married Marianne Sandoz, and the Sandoz family, of course, family foundation owns all of the Parmigiani, and there's are all kinds of interrelationships. If you take a close look at the vertical organization of Parmigiani, well, it's not a Parmigiani, it's really Sandoz Family Foundation. You go to Vaucheur, and people usually stop at Vaucheur, but there's a lot more to it. There's a Otto Kalpa, which makes the hairsprings, but then you see that they're making 300,000 hairsprings a year, and they're not going to, all but a few are not going to Parmigiani. So somebody else is picking them up. And then there are these, they've got people, they've got sub companies that make all these different things. So, okay, let's see what you guys have to say. Hey, Jean-Luc Carly, how you doing? Um, Okie doke. All right, you guys a bunch of Brigade fans. That's nice. I like the blue wave dial, the chrono. Okay. All right. Well, okay, we like brigades. Um, I, never mind. Ida, ora un punto. Good to see you. Specific examples. Ah, okay. I got you. I got you. So let's take a look at some specific examples. Oh boy. Okay, now these are some examples that are provided by the rancher, and these are great examples of high horology watches that used to be a really good deal, but they're sort of hard now. One is Glashütte original Panomatic date, and I think you can find some good deals on that. Parmigiani Tonda Metrograph, still a few of those around that are really good buys, and to me, it's a beautiful watch, but I don't like chronographs. So, uh, Parmigiani Fleurier, uh, Kalpa, of any kind. I love those Kalpas, but they're not a lot of these things are not popular. That's why you can get a good buy on them. Okay, let's see another one. Um, a used Omega Seamaster Railmaster. I've always liked the Railmaster. That's a good one. I think the Railmaster is a real gem that's overlooked. And Amiga DeVille, that's another one. DeVille Tresor. Uh, this is one of the things. I don't have a coaxial escapement in any of my watches in my collection, so I'm sort of that's one of the things at some point I'm going to have to probably get an Omega, either that or a Roger Smith. Haven't made up my mind yet. I haven't won the lottery yet, I'll put it that way. An authentic used, IWC Pilot Mark, what is that, 16? Yeah, um, that's a Flieger looking watch. Urban Jurgensen, 1140. This one, CSU for 21, 999 on sale from a trusted seller on Chrono 24. These things, I think, were about 30,000 something on that. So there's a number. I got one that was from sort of, they just when they sold the thing to Kari Voot and Lana, and before they told everybody about it, they had these great sale right from the manufacturer that went through Federico. Nice ones. Okay. Zenith El Primero Chronomaster chronograph Heron Ur, 4,795 for sale. This is on Chrono 24. Here's another one, Zenith Defy Extreme chronograph black steel. That one's for about 4,000, 38.99. I'm not a big fan of super high frequencies, but that's me. Zenith Elite HW Chronomaster, 8,000. This is on Chrono 24. That's a good looking watch. I mean, Zenith is a good one. Ooh, Daniel Roth Premier Retrograde for 99.60. This is on Chrono 24. That's one I think. There are two things about that watch. One, it's a Daniel Roth, and it's a very cool watch, retrograde. And second of all, I think that I mean it's those things are disappearing really quick. Between Clyde and I, there's I'm surprised there's any left. That's a good one. There's another one, a Daniel Roth Premier Retrograde, for 77. This is on Chrono 24. That's another good looking watch too. Let me add to that list of the. I don't know if there are any around or not, but for the Daniel Roth Metropolitan, very unusual watch, but they've been drying up like mad. Zenith Elite HW Reserve de March. Okay, that means power reserve indicator on it for 2756. Zenith Elite HW Reserve de March. Well, that's a good deal. I mean, on the more affordable. Somebody pointed out. He said on one of the comments I had is that how let's see, not dubious, but I forgot what term he used, but it is a relative term. We talk about affordable, obviously. Hey, Cosmic Enforcer, I like Klaus Schwab. Is right. We won't be able to afford anything anyway soon. Okay. Oh boy. Yeah, somebody said, maybe it was somebody said today, I think, somebody who knew about economics or some economist pointed out that they think by 2023 everything will be settled down economically. And what are you going to do? You have a pandemic, the supply chain gets wrecked, everything gets screwed up. And so what you have is that you have the same demand, if not higher, because people have been locked up. And then you have the people don't have as many goods because people have been, out of work. And this pandemic has not been fun, and it's not over, unfortunately. Keep on going. I am seriously considering leaping aboard the Laurent Ferrier bandwagon before it vanishes in the distance. Am I just being an idiot wanting something? Let me tell you, Paul, try on a Laurent Ferrier before you buy. That's my advice. I was all hot and bothered about getting one, and I went into Cellini's and in Park Avenue in New York, and they had some. I tried them on, and they just didn't feel right. I like some amount of heft in a watch. A watch with good heft to it has makes me feel that they've done the right thing on the inside. I know that's not always true, and especially if you get these. There's a uh, what's that stuff called? The titanium is very light, very strong, and you pick one of those things up, and they feel cheesy almost. They really do, but they're not. There are still deals out there. You just have to think outside of the crown. Well, Chi-Town, you're right about that. I think, listen, in a way, it's almost sort of a rebel. I like Rolexes no matter what. He's a rebel. Rolexes are, there are a lot of Rolex people. They still like Rolexes. And, it's not like, you know, these people who are Rolex haters, you shouldn't, that's crazy. I mean, if people get joy out of it, I get joy out of my $97 Seiko 5. They can get their joy out of a Rolex. So there. Oh, let's see. The Zeniths to go for me are he's got all kinds of numbers. Chronomaster Original. Okay. Hey, Orange Chan. Okay, let's see. I like the Revival smaller Zeniths with a weird shape. Okie doke. More. Hi, ENI 75. More like the 2028. It's the end of the fourth turning, end of the economic political. Oh, 2028. Oh my goodness. Okay, we'll see. I don't know. You know, there's a reason they call economics a dismal science. I can see why. Something can come along and change things. Um, okay, I finished work on the Christmas now, so it's time to catch up on all of the housework before relatives come and visit. You know, we had all of our relatives come and visit uh, last week and the week before that because they were coming out from the West Coast, and the air travel was just too crazy right on the dot, and so they figured out how to come out in times that was less crowded and less crazy. I think the new Lorettos with the enamel dials are very collectible. You guys, let me ask you this. I don't know why we look at things as collectible or not. Pet rocks are collectible, I guess, rather than which ones have certain kinds of intrinsic value that not as collectible per se, but rather because they have value in and of themselves with no thought to ever trading them in or cashing them in or anything like that. I, people, I guess a lot of people have, if you're around certain people a lot, that's all they talk about. And they worry about the resale value and things like that. I could care less about resale value. Um, and, when I go to sell a watch, then I do. But before that, I don't. And I've done pretty well as far as that's concerned. But I think, they're really trying to understand the essence of the horology and the difference between the whole thing with high horology is, that was put forth by the industry. Yeah, there's that, but I suppose we can use the term with our own definition that has to do with certain other kinds of quality. I don't think very many people would consider harboring to Felix high horology, but to me it is because it's handmade. Um, the movement is by a living watchmaker, and like I said, very few people would consider it high horology, especially for the reasonable relative term price. But for me, it is. On the other hand, you complicated Patek Philippe that they stuff full of silicon. I don't get excited about that. That's one of the things that I don't get excited about Breguet as much as I used to. because and I'm like I said, I'm a fan of the tradition, but they've stuffed in, you know, the silicon, and that's something about that sort of maybe it's just me, but if if Abraham Brigade didn't use it, I'm not interested. Okay, Monday is the 1 year anniversary of my being released from the hospital for COVID. It was really the mental hospital, but we won't say that. Okay. Canadian Watch Monkey, how you doing? Made it but late. You're right. I honestly didn't think I'd be here. No, that was a there was a lot of us that had a scare, and this is the thing. It's still there. I mean, there still is a scare. Now they got the stupid Omicron. Um, that's not good. But the real killer still is this Delta version, and who's getting it? The people who haven't got their vaccinations. That's crazy. It just nuts. What's going on with that? Problem is that unfortunately there's no such thing as intrinsic value. It is all subjective. Well, yes and no. Okay. That's saying everything in the world is relative, and it's true, but you have if you can set up certain parameters, you can talk about the quality of the craftsmanship, you can talk about the quality of the metals used. I mean, people, they talk about Rolexes. I forgot what the number is, but they have some kind of number steel that they use, and other people use another one. Hi, Pepsi, how you doing? I mean, we can't even have a conversation about watches if we can't talk about quality in terms of certain elements other than their resale value. You know. Um, but anyways, Ernie 75. That's my view on it. Hi, McDonald. This something. Deech. Hi. Aesthetic value, craftsmanship, interesting technology, historical or other emotional connection, precious metal, and some others, and status symbol. Yeah, for some it's the status symbol. It's like, I'm retired. I don't go out very much. And but I enjoy all the watches I have. I mean, like, who am I going to have status symbol with? Myself? Oh boy, look at me! I got a great watch. I think it's important to enjoy watches. Let me say one other thing. I guess it's my time that I got to go. One thing I would suggest to everybody: take a course in watchmaking, any course, and then if you can take a take a watch apart and put or a movement, take it apart and put it back together again. That will give you, I think, a lot of appreciation. And if you're going to do that, my suggestion is you get a hold of a 6498, an ETA 6498. They're nice and big, and I think that really gives you a certain kinds of appreciation. Now, when you're pulling a watch apart, you can examine all of the different parts and so forth. Take a look at it that way. What came out of the first silicon hairspring? What year? God knows. I don't know when that was. Um, Harboring tokens are still cheap, and if you can wait a few months from the dealer available, I agree, Paul. I think they're great watches, but that's a lot of people. I think, in fact, the masters at whoever they are here say, well, this wouldn't count as high horology, and I count it as high horology, whether they think so or not. Because my FP Journes, they're both thinking, oh yeah, those are really great. But this is a nice watch, and it's well made. Hey, Gene, look, I don't care about the resale value. I buy a watch to wear 'em because I appreciate the work which goes into it. Jean-Luc, that's exactly the same thing I try to do, and I agree with you 100%. No one wants to lose money on anything, but sometimes a watch grabs you that isn't an investment. I agree with that too. I understand that if you're a flipper, I mean, if you want to, buy watches and turn around and sell them, it's sort of like, you know, chewing gum until the taste is gone and spitting it out and getting another piece. But there's something to be said for the long fuse. Yeah, there are no silicon, Teflon, but no silicon. Okay, guys, Rolex oyster steel is good of industrial tubing steel. We are in this economic mess for a long time. Yeah, we are. Don't start to taking your Rolex apart. Oh yeah, I Rolex makes a good watch. Period. Okay. And one of these days, if I can find a good deal on the Bloodhound version of the Air King, I may get one. I think it's safe to assume, yeah, no silicon frying pans. I did a review of Tribus uh, TRI-03 on my Canadian Watch Monkey channel. We'll check it out, Canadian Watch Monkey. Thanks a lot. Hi, Vincent Vu. Horological Society of New York offers a watchmaking 101 course I highly recommend. We took a Unitas apart and put it back together. Vincent, they have one also on the weekend. They have a weekend one, and you go through 2 or 3 classes at that weekend one. That was when I took, and you're right, that's exactly the same thing. Took apart the Unitas and put it back together again. It sort of gives you perspective on things. Okay. All right, guys, gotta run. Hi, Owen. Silicon could be useful for non-stick layer on a frying pan. I'm su silicon's got a I have nothing against silicon, nothing whatsoever. It's the most plentiful element, I think, on the planet. Um, and someone said, "No, it's not, it's something else." Okay. Um, all right, guys, listen, take care. If you don't have a shot, go get one, okay? If you don't have 3 of them, go get them. And everybody be safe and take care.